Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanacharya Yamunatira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gopemandi Jam Vishnupad Parvam Suparijadikara Stotra Shata Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Chandarvindesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jam Vishnupad Parvam Suparijadikara Stotra Shata Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dirahe Ashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87, Text 17. Dhratarasya iva savasti asubhruto yadi te anvadha mahat aham madhyayo anyam sraja yud anugrataha purushavedo anyatro charamo anyamasedyaha sadasya param tvam athayas amistvam rithim. So we have to go further because it's very long purport. We go directly by word to word meaning. The Hatarasya blows, bellows. Iva as if Shashwati Debriti Ashut Bharatam alive. Yadi if te your Anuvidaha faithful followers. Mahat the total material energy. Aham false ego. Adhyam and other elements of creation. Anadam the universal egg. Agression produced. Yat whose Anugratha by the mercy. Purusha of the living entity. Vidaha according to particular forms. Anuvaha whose entrance. Atra among these. Chamraha the ultimate. Anya Maya Adusuhu among the manifestations known as Anya Maya and so on. Yam who Sat Asataha from gross and subtle matter. Param distinct. Tvam you. Ata the furthermore. Yat which. Yeshuhum among these. Aviasyam underlining. Ratim the reality. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, they are breathing like that of a bellows. It is by your mercy alone that the elements beginning with the Mahat Tattva and false ego created the eggs of this universe. Among the manifestations known as Anyamaya and so forth, you are the ultimate one entering within the material coverings along with the living entity and assuming the same form as those he takes. Distinct from gross and subtle material manifestation, you are the reality underlining them all. Purport: Life is without purpose for one who remains ignorant of his most well wishing benefactor and thus failing, fails to worship him. Such a person breathing is no better than the breathing of a blacksmith's bellow. The gift of human life is a fortunate opportunity for the conditioned soul, but by turning away from his Lord, the living being commits spiritual suicide. In this word, Sri Ishopanishad says, Asurya namate loke ande tamasasvara tamaste pratigachanti eke chachitatmano janaha. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planet known as worlds of faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Asurya means to be obtained by demons, and the demons are persons who have no devotion to for the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. This definition is called in the Agni Purana. Dvau bhuta sargrolokesmin दैवी आशूर्य एव च विष्णु भक्ति परादैव आशूर्य तद विपरीतः. There are two kinds of created beings in this world, godly and demonic. Those dedicated to the devotional service of the Lord Vishnu are godly, and those opposed to such service are demonic. Similarly, in the Brihat Aranya Upanishad states that na chet avedyam mahati vishnate. If one does not come to know the Supreme, he must suffer utter destruction. Those who realize the Supreme become immortal, but others inevitably suffer. A person must revive in his Krishna consciousness to relieve to suffering because of ignorance. But the process by which is done need not be difficult, as Lord Krishna assured in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhavat bhakto madhyadi mam namaskuro mami visheshyuktatma atmanam patmanam matparayanam. Engage your mind in always thinking of me, becoming my devotee, offer obeisances to me, worship me, being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. Despite of disqualifications and weakness, one needs only willing to become Anuvadya and the Supreme Lord, trusting the trustworthy servant. The Katha Upanishad proclaims, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bhunam Rovidadati Kaman Tam Apratigam Gatam Anupashadhiras Tesham Satam Shaswati Nistesham. Among all the eternal conscious being, there is only one who supplies the needs of everyone else. The wise souls who worship him in his abode attain the everlasting peace others cannot. The purport further continues, what is alive and what is dead? The bodies and the minds of the materialistic non-devotees seems to be displayed symptoms of life, but this appearance is deceptive. Actually, the conditioned soul has a little control over his own bodily existence against his will. He has to exaggerate the waste, get sick from the time to time, and eventually age and die. And his and in his mind, he is unwillingly suffer anger, hankering for, and lamentation. The Lord Krishna described this situation as readingly helpless as a passenger in a mechanical vehicle. The soul undoubtedly is alive and irrevocably so. But in his ignorance, the inner life is covered and forgotten. In its place, the automation of the external mind and body carries out of decades and of the modes of nature, which is forced to one act in a way altogether irrelevant to the dormant needs of the soul, calling out the Forgetful prisoners of illusion, the Svetasana Upanishads describe. All you sons of immortality, hear who once resides in the divine kingdom. So, on one hand, what is normal in living entity and the material body? Is it actually dead machine being manipulated by the modes of nature? And on the other hand, what is materialistic considering views as inert matter of meant for exploiting in its unknown existence, connected with the living intelligence vastly more potent than his own. The Vedic civilization recognized the intelligence behind the nature as belonging to the demigods who reside over the various elements and ultimately to the Supreme Lord Himself. Matter, after all, cannot coherently without the impulse of guidance of living force, as Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya dakshena prakrite suyate yacharacharam hetunani kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material energy, which is one of material energies, this material nature, which is one of the material energy, which is working under the direction or son of Kranti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, the manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. In the beginning of creation, Lord Mahavishnu glanced at the dormant material nature, Prakriti, thus awakened the subtle Prakriti began to evolve into the more concrete forms. The first Mahat and then false ego is conjunction with each Prakriti, three modes, and gradually various material elements, including intelligence, mind, senses, and the five physical elements with their residing demigods even after becoming a separate manifestation. However, the deities responsible for the various elements could not work together and produce a presentable world until the Lord Vishnu, by his special mercy, once more inevitable. This is described in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Controlling the deities of physical elements and empowered expansion of Lord Vishnu, they are embodied eternal time under the external energy, and they are part and parcels. Because they are entrusted with the different functions of the universe due to were unable to perform them. They offered fascinating prayers to the Lord, and the demigod said, O Lord, to your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under the shelter throw off all the material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Hearing the prayers of the assembled demigods of the element, the Supreme Lord shows his favor. Thus the Lord hears about the suspension of the progressive creative functions of the universe due to the non-combination of his potencies, such as Mahatattva, the supreme powerful Lord, then simultaneously enter into the 23 elements which is within Goddess Kali, his external energy, who alone amalgamates all the different elements. Then, thus, when the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered into the elements of his energy, all the living entities enlivening into the different activities, just as one engages his work awakening from sleep. So, we'll discuss just here and we will further read. So far, these are all the prayers offered by the Vedas to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you read the again, there is no explanation or there is no further commentary can be given because they are clearly given the life's purpose. What is the purpose of life? If a purpose of life is to eating, sleeping, mating, defending, it is just like a bellow in the blacksmith. In the bellow, he is also pumping to produce the air. in the fire. If you're just doing that, your body is no better than bellow of the blacksmith. So, this human form of life is a great gift. We have to understand that it is every day one step we are making towards the spiritual goal. If we have a spiritual vision, if not, every day you are making a step towards the cycle of birth and death, which is full of miseries, full of anxiety, full of worries, and full of you know challenges, and full of tensions, and full of things that we don't know what will happen. So that's why every day, as the sun rises, sun sets, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ayur Hariti Vaipumsa Yan Ashtanchan Yasho. So people say that when a year passed, okay, we lost the year, and birthdays passed, we said that okay, happy birthday, we have successfully completed 1 year, and they celebrate. But successfully you're coming closer to the death. Now successfully you're past, not why celebrate only once in a year. Every day you, as the sun rises, sun sets, your day is gone. And that means you are becoming closer towards death. If your goal is not spiritual, then your goal is material, then you are for suffering in this lifetime and coming next lifetime. So that's why one who does materialistic living, he's committing a spiritual suicide. The word spiritual suicide, which is described in Sri Ishopanishad, third verse, you know, the killer of the soul. Why it is mentioned the killer of the soul? But we are not killing our body. We are taking care of our body nicely and doing all the maintenance. What are the things that is needed? But we are not doing anything for the soul. Just like we maintain our body regularly by eating, by taking rest, by taking food, and by cleansing. But inside the body there is a soul. For soul, what is the food? Regularly chanting, regularly hearing, regularly reading, and regularly discussion, doing devotional service. These are all the food for the soul. If you are just giving food for the body, if you are not giving anything for the soul, then soul will die. That's why it is called killer of the soul. Whoever he may be, he must enter into the planet of the three in the world of faithlessness, full of darkness and ignorance. That is Ashurya. If you are not doing regularly hearing, chanting, reading, then automatically it says whoever he may be in this world, it is entering into the darkness of ignorance. That's why these elements, bhakti elements, are very, very, very important. And there is another point which is mentioned in the purport. Those who realize the Supreme Lord become immortal, but others inevitably suffer. A person must revive his Krishna consciousness to be revealed in suffering, revived in suffering by cause of ignorance. So everybody is saying we are suffering, suffering, suffering. But what is the cause of suffering is ignorance of knowledge. Why I am suffering? Sri Sanatana Goswami, He's one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First question he inquires that why I'm suffering. Actually, he is a very knowledgeable person and is a very pure devotee of the Lord. He himself is saying that why I'm suffering. That means he's saying that what is this miseries? Why people call me a scholar? Why modes of material nature is suffering? Actually, he is not in living in poverty line. No, he's very poor. He does not have anything to eat, and he's not having anything to maintain his body. It's not that he's saying. People in this world they recognize that that is a suffering. Of course, that is one of the type of suffering. But the another type of suffering is material modes that they gradually change your mind. That is one of the suffering. So he inquires from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he answers that what is the cause of suffering, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eventually gives the answer. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyajimam Namaskaram. Now engage your mind always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances, and offer worship me, completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. First of all, in this verse, first thing, if you want to serve the Lord, if you want to worship the Lord, if you want to offer obeisances to the Lord, if you want to become devotee of the Lord, you should always think of the Lord. First thing is engage your mind. When you are not engage your mind, you will not think of the Lord, you will not become devotee of the Lord, and you will not offer obeisances to the Lord, and you will not worship the Lord. That's why this first category is Manmana Bhavavat Bhaktu. Man means mind. When mind is not engaged, you will not hear about the Lord, you will not read about the Lord, you will not chant about the Lord, and you will not worship of the Lord and forget becoming devotee of the Lord. So, how do we engage the mind? That's the biggest question. The mind is only the thing it binds in this material world and it relieve from this material world. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayam. Now, it is just like when you lock your locker, you use the key. Same key, use it for the locking the locker, and the same key you use the opening the locker. Correct? Exactly the same thing works here. Mind. The same mind it can makes you bound in this material world. The same mind it can takes out of this material world. That's why in all the bhajan, Vaishnava bhajans, you know, first thing is engaging the mind is very, very, very essential, important. One of the bhajan is Bhajahure Mana Sri Nandanandana. It says Bhajahure Mana. You know, um, that Kavi, that poet also says, Govinda Das, he says that, oh mind, please chant. But the problem is that it is very, very difficult. So how do we engage your mind? By discussing Krishna Katha. First thing is properly hearing. When you hear properly, then only you will chant properly. Properly hearing means exclusive hearing. Exclusive hearing means quality of hearing. If the quality of hearing goes down, the quality of chanting goes down. The quality of the service goes down. The quality of the worship goes down. The quality of the devotee goes down. Everything falls. So that's why Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, in that all the power and all these elements, first thing comes Shravanam. Hear, whether you hear your Maharaj lecture whether you hear Prabhupada lecture, whether you hear a devotee lecture. Hearing is very, 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 very important. If that element is gone, then the quality of the chanting is gone, the quality of the service is gone, the quality of the worship is gone, the quality of the devotee is gone. That's why we have differences, that's why we have arguments. You know, when you don't hear properly, we don't like to chant properly, you don't like to do service properly. But you may be doing service as a mechanical, you know, as a, just for example, like outside in the restaurant, chef cooks, and here in the kitchen we also cook. But what is the difference? But he cooks for his pleasure, we cook for Lord pleasure. Are we cooking really for Lord pleasure or our pleasure? Quality, like sometimes it burns and it is cooked, and what is happening here? Just an example. We ignore, you know, the complacence. It becomes, familiarity becomes contamination. We take it as lightly because we have not take it as a quality hearing. So further goes in the purport: what is alive, what is dead. The bodies and the minds of materialistic non-devotees seems to be display the symptoms of life, but it appears a destructive. Actually, conditioned souls has a little control over his body's existence. Against his will, he has excrete waste and gets sick and time to time. So eventually he will die. The people say that okay, we are living for 30 years, we are living for 40 years, we are living for 100 years. But we are not living actually, every day we are dying. Actually, deities are living every day. They don't change their body, no, they don't become old, and they don't become sick. Actually, deities are living. That's we should understand. We see that deities are dead, they don't talk, they don't speak, they don't move. But actually, deities are living. All the living entities are dying. Correct. 30 years ago, I was not the same person. 40 years ago, you were not the same person. Now, every day, the body deteriorates and unwillingly suffer from this, the hankering, lamentation, anger. So, Lord describes the situation of a living entity. This situation is, he thinks that he is a controller, but everything behind the body, there are millions of demigods that controlling our body. We think that we are the controllers. If one particular demigod in the body, if he stop acting, we cannot do anything. Just like a person who is lying as a vegetable on the bed, we say it is called he got paralysis over the body. What is mean paralysis? He is living, but he is not able to move his eyelids, is not able to move his legs, is not able to move his fingers, not able to move his hands. What happens is, in that body, all the demigods have withdrawn their power. For example, just lifting the hand, it requires a particular demigod. Our arms in charge is Indra Dev, Lord Indra. If you are getting arm pain, hand pain, that means Lord Indra is angry with your act activity. Just like that, in all the parts of the body, if something is not functioning properly, he got angry. And these demigods are under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't act independently. They cannot act independently also. We think that they are the main person, but they don't act independently. That's why we should thank the Lord that we are able to move, we are able to talk, we are able to eat, we are able to digest the food, we are able to do all the activities. If the food digestion is not gone, then you are suffering from indigestive system. In our digestive system, there is a small The tiny thing which is very very important is Jataragni, fire. If that fire is not there, then whatever you eat, the food will not get digest. Then no matter how much ever you eat, you'll become indigestion and you don't like to eat. So that means each and everything we are totally, completely depend on the Supreme Lord. That is the material nature. But ignorantly we think that we are that over working in our own way, and we think that Krishna, we think that we are the controller. Actually, this Prakriti nature is controller. So to awaken this, that he is a controller, that's why we should chant and hear. And the further it is described, I'll read further. In the Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains that the five levels of ego covering the self within the body, there are five different departments of existence known as Anyamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and at last Anandamaya. These are innumerable in the Brahmanidivali. In the beginning of a life, the living entity is food consciousness, Annamaya consciousness. There are five elements, five coverings which are given here. A living entity is always conscious of food. Oh, what will happen to my breakfast? Oh, what will happen to my lunch? Oh, what will be there my dinner? Is always thinking of what should I eat, how to eat, what will I eat. Annamaya consciousness. Then above that, which pranamaya consciousness. You know, pranamaya life. If a person living happily, and for example, if he gets nice thing to eat, then he is happy. If he does not get nice thing to eat, he will be not happy. He will be angry. He will be upset. He will be yelling, shouting. Just like today is a fasting till noon. That means Varaha Dwadasi. That means we have to fast even from water. The fasting is very very important. If person is not getting food, he's not happy. If he gets nice food, he will be happy. Above that, after this, one life's consciousness. He always will be happy. How to be happy? He'll makes plan how to be happy. If one continues in his life without being attacked or destroyed, one thinks he is happy. That is above that. This stage is called pranamaya consciousness, or consciousness for existence of life. After this stage, one is situated in the mental platform. That consciousness is manomaya consciousness. Manomaya. Mind should be always relief. You see these people who do meditation, yoga, they want peace. Just peace. They don't need anything furthermore. Just relax, music, and there's nothing that. That is manomaya consciousness. The materialistic civilization primarily situated in these first three: food consciousness, life consciousness, and mind consciousness. They don't go beyond that. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. The first concern of civilized person is economic development, and next concerns of our defense, how to defend against being annihilated, and next is the mental speculation. No, not only meditation, but the people who are intellectually, they are, you know, scientists, intellectually, the scholars, they keep discussion of the further and further, and the speculating mind. From them, by doing that, they get pleasure for the mind. That is the third level of consciousness. This is called manomaya consciousness. And then next is mental. That is what we discuss. If by the evolution process, the evolutionary process of philosophical life, one happens to reach the platform intellectual life, understand that he is not a material body but the spiritual soul. He is situated in Vijnanamaya stage. So one has to rise above all this stage and situated in Vijnanamaya. Then by evolution of spiritual life, he comes to the understanding of spiritual soul and supreme soul. What is spirit soul? What is spiritual soul? When one develops this relationship with his and then execute a devotional process, that stage of life is called Krishna consciousness, Anandamaya stage, which is eternal blissful knowledge for the living entity. As it is stated in Vedanta Sutra, Anandamayo Abhyasyat, the supreme Brahman of the subordinate Brahman and the supreme personality of Godhead and the living entity are both are joyful. As long as a living entity is situated in the lower four stages of life, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, they are considered to be the material condition of life. But as soon as one reaches the stage of Anandamaya, he becomes liberated soul. This Anandamaya stage is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. There is said that Brahmabhuta stage, there is no anxiety, no hankering. This stage begins when one becomes qual equally disposed towards all living entities, and it expands in stage of Krishna consciousness in which one hankering surrenders service unto the Supreme Lord. This hankering for advancement of devotional service is not the same hankering for sense gratification in the material existence. In other words, hankering remains in spiritual life but becomes purified. When our senses are purified, they become freed from all material stages, namely Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and they become situated in the highest stage of Anandamaya or blissful eternal consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers consider the Anandamaya is to be stage of being merged into the Supreme, and then to Anandamaya means super soul individual becoming one. But the real fact is that one does not mean be merging into the Supreme and losing one's individual existence, merging into the spiritual existence. In is the living entity's realization qualitatively oneness with the Supreme Lord as aspect of the eternity and the knowledge. But the actually Anandamaya blissful stage attained the ones engaged in devotional service that confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Mad Bhakta Labate Param. The Brahmabhuta Anandamaya stage is completely only when there is exchange of love between the Supreme and subordinate living entities. Unless one comes to the Anandamaya stage of life, his breathing like a bellow in the blacksmith shop. His duration of life is like a red tree. He has no better than the lower animals like camels, hogs, and dogs. So here is a very very clear indication. If a person is not in the Anandamaya consciousness and he thinks that his bodily needs are better bliss, very very important in Brahmabhuta stage, he is compared to a belling, like a bellows in a blacksmith shop. So here is the you know clear indication that it's not that materialistic people they do that. It's not that if person is above the four levels of exist covering Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Jnanamaya, they are considered as bellows in the milk, bellows in the blacksmith shop. They are just like a living like a tree. He has no better than the lower like animals like camels, hogs, and dogs. So that's why one has to rise above. You know, when during if something I have not got for the breakfast or lunch or dinner, immediately becomes angry. That means we are in Annamaya consciousness. That means no better than the animals. I'm not saying that here it is mentioned. So that's why we have to, when you read such these purports, then only you will understand. One is understand in what level he is in. So this is called. I'll just read the further to complete this purport. In accompanying a jiva within the covering maya, the Paramatma is not bound by karmic elements as a jiva. Rather, a super soul connection in this coverings like a apparent connection between the moon and there are some three branches seen through the moon. The super soul, Sat Asat Param, always transcendental to the subtle and gross manifestation, Annamaya, and so on. Although he enters among the this transaction witness of all activities. As their final cause, the supersoul is oneness, is identical manifestation, product of creation, but his original identity. He remains distinct. In the second sense, he is Anandamaya alone, at last as of five koshas. Therefore, Shruti addresses that here is a Mesham resident. This is also expressed in the text of Tattvavedi Upanishad. Within the personal existence, Supreme enjoys a rasa, reciprocation of the devotional service, integrates place rasa's participation of the realized jivas. He is the embodiment of rasas and jivas who are realized the rasa. This rasa becomes fully ecstatic or in this world personified Vedas praying in this verse the super soul and which Vishwanath Chakravarti interprets. In the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the last word authoritative is a combination of Rasovaisa, which is demonstratively and reference of Lord Sri Krishna's infinite expansion, expanding embodiment of divine pastimes. So Lord Krishna covered transcendental not only the material consciousness awakened of a dream sleep, deep sleep, but also furthermore realms the awareness. So Anandamaya Super Soul is simply an aspect of primeval Lord Govinda declares this. With a single fragment myself I private with the entire support. The Shruti factually states that even among the various persons of form of Godhead, Krishna is Supreme Lord. Understanding this, Narad Muni will later offer obeisances to Lord Krishna with the words of Namastasmai Bhagavate Krishnaya Male, even the standing of Lord Narayan Rishi. O Lord Narayana Hari, to persons who have attained the human form of life, uselessly marrying, breathing like a bellows, if they fail to worship you by breathing about you, chanting about your glories, remembering you, performing on other devotional practices. So this is the longest purport, you know, but it gives a deep meaning and it gives a deep understanding and it will gives you where you are, which consciousness you are. Particularly, jivas are covered with these five consciousness, as it is explained here. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Jnanamaya. But we have to rise above this, and then only we can able to do Manmana Bhavamat Bhakta. Then only we can able to be situated in Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasauchati Nakanchati. If you are situated in one of these pranamaya or annamaya consciousness, then forget about the eternal blissful life. They are no better than the animals like hawks and camels. It is just like a bellow in a blacksmith shop. Okay, I will stop here. We'll see any discussions on this. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर